Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour two, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Half the work week in the mirror, officially working towards the weekend. Glad you're hanging out with us on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Got to talk some football later on in this hour. A mock draft that involves New Orleans Saints making a couple of selections and SEC quarterbacks that are returning in 2025. We'll get to all that moving forward. But at the top of hour number 2 on Wednesdays, we talk to our guy Matthew Brune from the Bengal Tiger, part of the On3 team. He's with us right now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Matthew, how are you?
Hey, Hunt. Doing well. Just another day of work after an LSU win.
Late night at the PMAC last night, but a successful one for the Tigers. They beat John Calipari in Arkansas 78-74. It was a game of runs, and I guess LSU threw the biggest haymaker there in the second half. Did you feel like LSU was going to win the game throughout, or did that kind of feeling change as the runs were going on?
I definitely did not have a strong feeling either way because I didn't think neither team is really good enough to take control of the game there. It was definitely a battle of two teams that are on different sides of the spectrum. I'd say talent-wise, I think Arkansas, in terms of talent, is still one of the best in the SEC, which is crazy to say. But LSU at home, I think McMahon had them ready defensively. I think their experience really showed through. I did not have a feeling on this game at any point. I could not tell you who was going to win. I was kind of just waiting for Arkansas to figure it out, and Boogie Fland hit a couple shots late to really bring them back, and I was worried again, and then LSU ends up pulling it out. So to answer your question, I never had a good feel on which way that game was going to go.
Not that it's a top of mind for our audience, but like, why don't you think Arkansas is any better with the collection of top 100 players and McDonald's All-Americans and potential draft picks that they have?
Yeah, it's really a bad reflection on Coach Cal right now. I think you look at that team, and I know I pay attention to high school basketball and recruiting a lot more than the average person, but you mentioned that these are guys that are at the very least high 4-star guys. DJ Wagner considered the NBA last year, Boogie Fland, incredibly talented, Carter Knox, John L. Davis transfer from FAU, who was one of the, I think, top 3 transfer in the country coming into the year. And they just haven't figured it out. And I think we've seen it with Coach Cal the past 5 years, really, since I think it was 2019 at Kentucky. They didn't do anything in the tournament consistently. And now at Arkansas, he's continuing to struggle. I think it's just really passed him by at this point. He struggled to keep up.
All right, I opened my show saying there's kind of two truths for me in this game. One, LSU deserves a lot of credit for getting the ball to their best players, for scoring the ball late, for getting some stops when they had to, responding to adversity. It's a good win for LSU. Any of them in league play will be. And the second part of the equation for me is you won by 4 points while Cam Carter went off for 27. You made 26 of 28 free throws. Like, you had a lot that had to go right for you to get. You blocked 11 shots that had to go right for you to win by 4 points at home. Which camp are you more in?
I'm in the camp that it is. I think you're right. I think a lot did go right, but I think a lot is going to have to go right for this team to win games in conference. And even if you look at the non-conference, if you look at, I think, the Florida State game, they shot the heck out the ball. They did everything right. They blocked a lot of shots. Like, this is the formula for them to win games in general without Jalen Reed. The Collins and Chess combined for 7 blocks last night. Fountain got in. Like, their front court defensively is going to have to be really good. And then Sears and Carter, I've said this repeatedly, have to take like half the shots, if not more than half the shots. And last night they took 28 of 55 for this team. So those two have to do a lot. I think Victorious Miller not being available, like, I thought he was going to have to kind of play a role in their wins, at least, get them like 8-10 points. But then Mike Williams comes in and scores 8 points for them. So they need that kind of third creator. It helps them space the floor. But ultimately, I think we know the recipe. We know what it will take for the team to win games. The problem is that the SEC doesn't. The SEC has some teams that you play that just won't let you do that.
Mike Williams, 17 minutes last night, scored 8 points on 2 of 2 shooting. He made his 3 from the left wing, was 3 of 4 from the line, had a couple rebounds, a couple assists. I mean, do you expect his role to grow? Was that purely because Victorious Miller was out? How do you feel about that spot?
I think Mike Williams played a really good game, and he played really under control. I think a lot of the concern with him was his sporadic shooting and turnovers. And I think he just kind of played his role last night exactly how LSU needed him to. So the hope now is figured out once Victorious Miller comes back how you can play them both. I'm not sure you can play them together, but I think either you have to find a way to get them on the floor because I wrote about this as well. I think there's going to be lineups where you either go small or you have to have 3 scorers on the court. It's really hard for them to have good offense with Jai Bailey at the 3. In particular. So I would love to see Victorious in there, Mike Williams in there, or they just go small and kind of figure it out because ultimately you have to be able to score with some of these teams. And what they were doing through the first 3 games where they were scoring, 65 to 70 just is not enough.
Damian Collins scored 7 points, which is the first number that most people look at. But would you say that was his best game of the year last night?
Yes. Off the top of my head, I definitely think he was extremely impactful defensively. Like I said, that's the role that this team needs from him. The Florida State game, he was also, again, going back to that game, he had 4 blocks in that one as well. So that's what this team needs from him. He's not a great rebounder. He can finish at the rim, obviously, with the athleticism that he has, but he's not a high-level scorer. They need him to protect the paint and lower the other team's 2-point percentage and kind of make them a little bit more one-dimensional. So he did that, and if he can do that against, some of the other teams in conference that they have a shot at beating, then they'll be in a lot of games, regardless of who steps up around him.
Matthew Brune is our guest, part of the Bengal Tiger team over there on 3. Covers LSU men's and women's basketball exceptionally well. I know you do some Texas basketball as well, the state of Texas, not necessarily just the Longhorns. LSU and Texas A&M coming up this weekend. I got to imagine, having not watched a ton of A&M this year, that there's a different team out there when Wade Taylor is playing versus he is not. He's been banged up. Don't know what the future holds for Saturday, but does that give LSU a chance if he's not able to go?
It does. They now saying that they are still a very, very good team.
Yeah.
Without him, they pushed Alabama at home. Now they did lose Kentucky last night, but I think this team with Zurch Phelps, who transferred from SMU over there, they have a secondary scorer, and then they're already the best offensive rebounding team in the country, which we all remember last year's game where A&M grabbed however many offensive rebounds. That's kind of what they do. So at the very least, you have a very high floor for Texas A&M with their defense, with their offensive rebounding, and then if they have Wade Taylor, they have the scoring punch that they need to be a really, really high-level team. But I'm not sure about his status. They've been kind of vague about it to this point, so we'll see if he ends up playing against LSU.
I tried to explain this in my first segment. Maybe you feel the same, maybe you don't, but you can just explain your sense of it. You are on your message board. You understand the tenor that people in the LSU fan base have towards this basketball team right this very second. And it strikes me just how different the actual team talks to us as opposed to the way that the fans talk about the team. Can you kind of explain that dichotomy and the actual belief that it sounds like these guys like Jordan Sears, like Cam Carter still have about what this team can do?
Oh yeah, it's a basketball team. Like you said, the fans on a message board, the fans in the general community will see 3 losses to start conference play and say, all right, well, the season's over. As a basketball player and as a basketball team, I said this on the board, LSU was one of 5 SEC teams to enter last night 0-3. This is not a one-off. This is not like LSU was, they're the only team that can't win a game. This is Texas 0-3, Oklahoma 0-3, Arkansas 0-3. These are teams that have, A, spent a lot more money than LSU to build these teams, and B, have a history of being competitive more so, and are expected, especially like in Oklahoma and Arkansas, to be competitive and be in the NCAA tournament. So 0-3 is definitely not where you want to be, but it was not a situation where it was the season's over for anybody on LSU's team. Now, again, I think the loss to Vanderbilt in particular was pretty bad, and then you got blown out against Missouri, but ultimately you just play it one game at a time. The Arkansas game was a must-win in my opinion, and they got the win. So now it's the SEC continues to be very, very difficult. A&M, Alabama, Auburn, your next 3 games. So you just take it one game at a time. That's the good thing about having seniors too. Jordan Sears, Cam Carter, Jai Bailey are all very experienced, and I think McMahon's a very good coach to keep them locked in.
We're looking for your LSU basketball coverage, men's and women's, plus recruiting, football. It's all over there at the Bengal Tiger, part of the On3 Network. Matthew's with us every single Wednesday. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks, Matt.
You just talked about the next 2 that are coming up. It's Texas A&M. It is at Alabama and Auburn coming to the PMAC. If you can get one, that would just be awesome. If they could find a way to get one, you could get one there. You'd be just kind of like one game off schedule, maybe even on schedule. There just aren't a lot of margin for error. And I realize that we're talking about a team in Alabama that played very poorly last night, but that was against an Ole Miss team that's in the top 15. So it's, LSU played Ole Miss pretty tough for 30 minutes of action. So they're up against it, and I don't think anybody's here telling you that they've turned it around, that they're going to win 10 league games. But it was nice that they got a win last night, and that's kind of where I'll leave that one for the rest of the show. Let's talk some football when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions, AVSSLA.com. Mitchell Fisher and his team hung all the TVs in our house when we moved. We moved, they gave us a call, showed up at the old house, pulled them all off the wall, showed up at the new house, put them all on the wall. There's a lot of you out there that go, well, I can do that. Then do it. Be my guest. I can't. I'm inept. I can't do anything. I can call Mitchell, and he can get it done. And he also set us up with this technology that is so easy for us to use. We can use the smart remote that he gave us. It's got all the apps that we can scroll through and push. Even my kiddo knows how to hit the next button on it when the commercial comes up on YouTube. But we can also control the audio that's out on our back porch, or the audio that's there in our kitchen, and all the televisions there. You got to set up start to finish, and he can do the same for you. It's Mitchell Fisher and his team at Audio Video Security Solutions. Here's Mitchell's cell phone number. He's the owner of the company. He's the guy you will talk to. It's 225-439-7920. Again, 225-439-7920. You can check him out online. It's Audio Video Security Solutions online at avssla.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
The Athletic has a new mock draft out, as we'll have quite a few of those coming over the next couple of months. But I think it's generally interesting to discuss, not necessarily exact players when you get deep into draft, but I think positions and fits are interesting discussions at this point. I think we'll kind of nail things down a little bit more closely when the draft comes. But Dane Brugler had his mock draft posted at The Athletic, and I just wanted to check through and see what direction he wanted to go with the Saints. And before we get into names, he did a 2-round mock, and there are 2 Saints picks in the first and second round. I think position is the first place you have to start. If you've listened at all to Matt Moscone on our afternoon drive show and after further review, he says, I don't really care what position the Saints take because they need help everywhere. And there's absolutely an element of truth to that. I think you would probably prefer not to draft on the offensive line because you've sunk so much into that recently, but it's never a terrible idea to draft offensive line. Wide receiver, yeah, they need help. Running back, you got an aging Alvin Kamara, and Kendre Miller can't stay on the field. Jamal Williams, bust of a free agent signing. Yeah, could probably use some help there. Don't know what Taysom Hill's future is at tight end. Got Juwan Johnson and Foster Moreau on short-term deals. Well, I wouldn't immediately go grab a tight end, but I understand. Defensive front, yeah. You got Cam Jordan aging out. You got Chase Young as a free agent. On the edges, yeah. Interior, Brzee, pass rusher, but could there be somebody that you would plug in next to him to play there? Yeah, absolutely. Demario Davis is not going to play forever. You don't have a ton of depth behind Pete Werner. Okay. Secondary, I didn't see everything I wanted to see from Alontae Taylor over the last month once your two starting corners went down. I didn't see everything I wanted to see from Kool-Aid McKinstry. I realize you just took him in the second round, but okay. And then you move back to safety, and you got Tyrann Mathieu, who's aging. Jordan Howden, who is certainly not an all-pro at this point. So I just went through the roster. You can use help everywhere. So you would be hard-pressed to find a pick that just made no sense whatsoever. And for so long, the Saints have kind of been looking to plug one hole. And that's why they've traded up so much, because they feel like they're always right next to getting the piece to put them over the top. No one could look at this Saints roster and think, yeah, they're one guy away from making the turn. Not even Mickey Loomis and whatever he had to say on Monday of this week. No one could think we're right there. So you just got to take kind of best player available and understand that you got to get the best player you can get for the next 5 years. That's the plan for the Saints early in this draft. And so in this mock draft, the first selection that the Saints will make is obviously number 9. And he's got the Saints taking Malachi Starks, the safety from Georgia. He writes, safety might feel like a luxury option for a Saints team that needs help at quarterback, pass catcher, and on the defensive line. But Starks can play across the secondary and will be a playmaker in different ways. With his athleticism, football IQ, makeup, he'll be an easy sell for NFL war rooms. The one thing I really like about Malachi Starks is that he started for 3 years essentially at Georgia. And to start for that long at a school that good, that has produced that many good defensive players, means a lot. He made 198 tackles at Georgia. He has 6 interceptions. He's not the biggest, most physically imposing guy that you'll find. Malachi Starks is listed at 6'1", 205. It's big enough to play safety, but it's not like he's some sort of LaRon Landry level enforcer. He's not Sean Taylor. But he's versatile. He can cover in the slot. He does make a lot of tackles. High football IQ, as you said, playing 3 years in a sophisticated and dominant system at Georgia. I think this makes a lot of sense. Tyrann Mathieu's got a lot more football in the rearview mirror than he does in front of him. And Jordan Howden hadn't showed me enough to say that, hey, we don't need to draft anybody there. So I think if you're trying to overhaul the secondary with Lattimore moving on, and who knows what the case is with the Debo, you've got Kool-Aid McKinstry under contract. You've got Alontae Taylor under contract. Jordan Howden's a young player. Can Malachi Starks come in and help you there? I think that does make some sense. I do trust Dennis Allen in terms of drafting and developing young defensive backs. He did that very, very well throughout his time in New Orleans. Even undrafted guys they brought in that could help them. He's obviously not there anymore, so it's a different regime. Maybe my confidence level not quite what it would have been, but I think Malachi Starks does make a lot of sense. The next pick that they have the Saints making is at 40. It's the Saints' second-round pick. Keep in mind they've got 2/3 and 2/4 in this draft. But the next pick is at 40. And they have the Saints taking Matthew Golden, the wide receiver from Texas. Matthew Golden had a productive career at Texas. 3 seasons. Had 38 catches in each of the last two, in each of his first 2 seasons, and 58 this past year, just a tick under 1,000 yards. I love the fact that he scored a ton of touchdowns, 22 of them to be exact. Super productive, high-level offense, highest level of the sport in the SEC. Yes, that still applies. The only thing that gives me a little pause about this is that Matthew Golden is 6 feet tall and 195 pounds. And that sounds a lot like Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed to me. Now, certainly there is doubt about the future of Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. Chris Olave did not come back this year because of the concussion issues. Rashid Shaheed has suffered a significant injury. So you can't just blindly rely on those 2 guys to return to their form. And yes, the Saints do need more depth at wide receiver. Unequivocally, yes. But I kind of figured that guy might be 6'4". Easier said than done. There are more 6', 195 receivers than 6'4", 215 receivers. But I feel like if the Saints are going to be shopping at receiver, it's going to be someone with a little different skill set. But again, you don't know how long you're going to have those guys under contract. You don't know how long they're going to play. You don't know what their health is going to be like. maybe you're taking Matthew Golden to replace one of those guys. But ultimately, it's probably just best available player. There's not, again, any position on the field I would look at and go, you really can't draft that. I didn't even mention quarterback in my long diatribe there. And yeah, you could draft a quarterback. I wouldn't think that was crazy. Wouldn't help you necessarily a lot in 2025, but I wouldn't think it was bad for the organization. But these two guys come from big-time programs, huge athletes, big recruits, won a lot of games, super productive, 3-year starters and producers. I think that would be a heck of a start. And we all know this. We all know this. This is as big a draft for New Orleans as the franchise has seen in quite some time. We all like to point to 2017, and it's great fun to do so. And I don't know if I felt like entering the 2017 draft, it had to be all world. But the fact is, it was. It put some great players, all pro-level players, on your team on the cheap for those two really good runs in 19 and 20. So, and even 18 wasn't bad. So, I like the direction of both of these as expected because you feel like there aren't any directions they could go that you wouldn't like. But the only thing that, as you kind of look at fit, the 6-foot speedy receiver feels like something they've kind of got. I guess I just don't know what those guys' futures hold in the immediacy because of the injuries they sustained and the time they missed in 2024. If you want to check out that mock draft, you can do so on The Athletic. Every single pick for 2 rounds is in. Dang Brugler has done it. It's not quite as much fun as if the Saints had a lot of picks in the first and second round. Instead, the bulk of their picks come in the third and fourth round where they've got about 4 total. But that's a start where the Saints may be going here in the offseason. First, got to get a head coach, and we'll certainly bring you the latest on that every day as we move forward towards that. If you're looking for your Saints coverage, you can find it at LouisianaSports.net. Ross Jackson doing a fantastic job for us over there at LouisianaSports.net. It's all absolutely free. If you're listening to this show, there's a pretty reasonable chance that you're an LSU fan, a Saints fan, and someone who pays attention to the SEC. I'm looking at the front page of LouisianaSports.net right now. Got the Handycast up. That's a film study of 8 recent portal additions for LSU. Got Ross talking about aging Saints and what their cap number and cap situation is. My portal profile on Braylon Moore is up, the center from Virginia Tech. I've got my post-game basketball story as well. There are stories like SEC transfer portal rankings, players that are signed. Former Longhorn Jonte Cook, who has left Texas and now transferred to Washington and now is left Washington. Quinn Ewers is going to the draft, and interview with Kim Mulkey from Off the Bench. So if you're an LSU football fan, LSU basketball fan, women's basketball fan, baseball fan, Saints, SEC football aficionado, check out LouisianaSports.net. Always free all the time, and we certainly do appreciate that. When we come back, I want to switch gears over to LSU football. Looking at the quarterbacks on their schedule and something that I noticed this morning when kind of picking through that. We'll get to that coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Safety's real important, and I can promise you this, you're going to get a safe vehicle when you shop with Genesis of Baton Rouge. The entire line was given the IIHA top safety pick, some of them a top safety pick plus. Your buying experience at Genesis of Baton Rouge is going to be luxury in every way. You're going to feel like a guest at the dealership, not a customer. Their brand ambassadors are going to help you each and every step of the way, whether that be inside the store or at your business or at home, where they can bring a car to you for a test drive. Contracts are available, digital delivery. You never have to set foot on the lot, although I would highly recommend you do so. From the sedans all the way up to the SUV, Genesis, truly a luxury brand of vehicles. And when you think luxury, don't think, I can't afford that. Think Genesis of Baton Rouge, and go check them out, Airline at Pico. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge, GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Officially working towards the weekend. Back half of the day, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Had a lot to do over the last 90 minutes. Matthew Brune with us talking LSU hoops. Had a What If Wednesday. J.D. Piquel Hosted the Hard Count on 3, was with us talking college football playoff semifinals and finals. So lots and lots that we've done over the last 90 minutes. Always, if you missed the show, you can catch it on demand. As we were entering the 2024 LSU football season, I think one of the common talking points with the schedule was, man, LSU's got their toughest games outside of USC at home. That was kind of the August talking point. And Beck, I'll just toss this to you. Can you name an SEC team that LSU played at home this year?
Alabama.
They did. They played them. Can you name another one?
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss, they did. Can you name another one? Last game of the year.
Oh, yeah, Oklahoma and Vanderbilt.
Those were thought to be, outside of Vanderbilt, the toughest games on LSU's schedule. Ole Miss, Alabama, Oklahoma. And when I was looking at the ESPN piece today that's predicting the starting quarterbacks for every team in D1 next year, I thought, you know what? They're going to reshape that narrative now that the road games LSU plays, these teams are breaking in new quarterbacks. Jalen Milroe is gone to the NFL draft. Jackson Arnold is gone. He's moved on from Oklahoma over to Auburn. And you look at Ole Miss, Jackson Dart, gone. He's headed to the NFL out of eligibility. Now, Diego Pavia is back. And with all due respect to Coach Lee and Diego, who's back for another $1 million payday at Vanderbilt, I just don't think Vanderbilt's got a great football team, and I'm not petrified of LSU going to Nashville and winning a football game. Yes, I watched Alabama go there this year. Yes, watched Texas go there this year. Yes, I saw Vanderbilt come to Tiger Stadium and lose by 1 touchdown. Still, as I sit here in January, I'm not petrified of Vanderbilt's football team, Diego Pavia or not. But you consider where LSU has to go for its road games, and LSU will bring in a fifth-year senior quarterback in his second year starting, and you'll be playing against inexperienced quarterbacks. I'm reading off this ESPN piece that Alabama is projected to start Ty Simpson. He's a redshirt junior, not unlike Nussmeier was this past year. But he's played in 16 games. The most significant action came when he replaced Jalen Milroe and led Alabama to 17 unanswered points against South Florida. But there's going to be a lot of pressure on Alabama this coming year, and Ty Simpson is going to have to bear a significant amount of that. You look at the next team that LSU will play on the road that we're talking about here, and it's Oklahoma. They went and got John Mateer, another redshirt junior. Now, he's played, but it was at Washington State. How does he translate down to the SEC running this offense? It's the same offense that he was under last year because Oklahoma, of course, hired Washington State's offensive coordinator, but he's new to the league, and Washington State's schedule, not really like Oklahoma's schedule. And then the other piece here is Ole Miss with Austin Simmons, and I think it says a lot that Ole Miss did not go into the transfer portal and get a quarterback because Lane Kiffin goes in the transfer portal and gets everything, but they feel like Austin Simmons is the guy. Simmons is a really good athlete. He was a left-handed pitcher, but he hasn't played a ton. 79 snaps, the most critical being a 75-yard touchdown drive against Georgia. But he's thrown for 282 yards on the season in 2024. 3 more years of eligibility for Austin Simmons here. But I like the fact that LSU's 3 toughest road games now are with inexperienced quarterbacks. Now, the guys that are coming to Tiger Stadium have got a little more skins on the wall. You'll have Arkansas coming to Tiger Stadium with Taylon Green, who put up a lot of yards this year. You'll have Florida coming to Tiger Stadium with DJ Lagway, who has kind of infused some life into that program there. And you got Lenoris Sellers, who had a really good finish to his season at South Carolina, specifically running the ball. And then you got Texas A&M with Marcel Reed right now, who was good against LSU and not really good any other time. Plus Pavia. So this is an interesting dichotomy between The proven quarterbacks come to you. The unproven quarterbacks outside of Pavia, you go to. I'm not sure if that's as big an advantage as your big-time games coming at home, but it certainly is a difference in LSU's schedule from last year to this year, and I think a lot of teams are going to see that because the SEC just said, we're not going to try to fix the schedule or do anything different. We'll just flip the opponents. Now, the one huge caveat that I am admittedly leaving out here is that one of the returning quarterbacks that LSU plays in a big game does not play in the Southeastern Conference. I think you're pretty familiar with who I'm talking about at this point. That, of course, is Cade Klubnik at Clemson. Klubnik has elected to come back, and he's coming off a solid finish to this season. This is what is written in this piece. Klubnik brings 2 years of starting experience after making significant strides in 2024, passing for 795 more yards and 16 more touchdowns while trimming his interceptions and showing a greater grasp of coordinator Garrett Riley's offense. He led Clemson to the ACC title and first ever CFP appearance in the 12-team version. Few teams will have the same starting quarterback and offensive coordinator for a third straight season, and the Klubnik-Riley connection could really blossom further in 2025. Klubnik had 11 games with multiple touchdown passes and eclipsed 200 passing yards in all but 2 games. He still has a higher ceiling, too, as his actual accuracy fluctuated during the fall. So, this is going to be something that we talk about a massive amount in July and August. A massive amount. Y'all know where I stand on this as far as scheduling goes. I know that when they put it on the schedule, they did not know that Cade Klubnik, a former 5-star recruit, would be in his third year as a starter with a third-year offensive coordinator. That's not something you can forecast. But you leave yourself open to that when you schedule these national powers in season openers. And Miller Moss and Lincoln Riley were far from a national power this year, but they got you in the opener. So the deviation from the SEC schedule to the big non-conference game is certainly there as Klubnik presents a daunting task to try to defend. But you look at this list, and like I'm looking at it, I feel like LSU's got at least as good a quarterback as everybody that's on their schedule in 2025, and most of them have to play in Garrett Nussmeier's house. Garrett Nussmeier's got to go to Cade Klubnik's house. We know that, but I think that's an advantageous position for LSU. Maybe it's a spin job, but it's rooted in truth at the very least. The guys that came in here this year as quarterbacks have moved on. So I thought it was interesting. If you're looking for the piece, it's on ESPN.com, predicting the starting QBs for every Power 4 college football team in 2025. Biggest picture on the entire thumbnail of the article is Arch Manning, and then one of the pictures on the thumbnail is Bryce Underwood. And I didn't get a chance to look and see if they picked Bryce Underwood to be the starter. I'm confident that they did, but let me go ahead and make sure I scroll to Michigan here. They did not. They've got Mikey Keene, redshirt senior Fresno State transfer, and they've listed his competition as Bryce Underwood. So that'd be interesting if Underwood went there and didn't start. I just assumed he'd be the guy, but Mikey Keene right now is the guy that ESPN is dubbing as the starting quarterback there. So just some food for thought on football here in the middle of January. If you're looking for football content all year long, you can always find it on YouTube or wherever you find your podcast. Either one, search Hunt on LSU. It's all football all the time. If you're looking for baseball, don't go there. If you're looking for basketball, don't go there. Football and recruiting, Hunt on LSU. Wherever you find your podcast, certainly on YouTube, you can find all our LSU content. Hunt on Saints for all your Saints content as well. We'll pause one more time, come back, play some Take It or Leave It, close it out. I was going to say Monday. It's not Monday. On a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Doesn't have to be a huge ordeal to get a renovation done. We use our bathtub every single night because we have a 3-year-old who takes a bath every single night. It's playtime. It's messy. There's a lot that goes on, but it's used. If you're one of these folks or one of these couples who's got kind of a dingy old tub that you don't ever take a bath in, take it out. 1, it's an eyesore, and 2, you don't use it. Why would you have it there? Take it out, put in a gorgeous new glass walk-in shower from the folks at One Bath and Closets. changes the functionality of your bathroom, changes the aesthetic of your bathroom, and you'll be thrilled that you worked with David Duvall and his team. They're going to do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. Check out the website, onebathandclosets.com. You can see pictures of their great work. You can see the reviews from their satisfied customers. You can get that free consultation. Consultation's free. Doesn't cost you anything to start that process with David Duvall and his team at One Bath and Closets. Check them out online, onebathandclosets.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Congratulations to our grand prize college football bowl pick'em challenge winner, Mark Mancuso. Mark wins $1,000 cash and a $200 gift card from Hooters. Thanks for playing the Hooters College Football Bowl Pick'em Challenge presented by Yingling. And the NFL playoffs are here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Tune in Saturday at 3:30 when the Chiefs host the Texans, followed by Jay Daniels and the Commanders and Lions at 7 p.m. Then Sunday, it's the Rams and Eagles at 2 p.m. And then the Ravens and Bills at 5:30 p.m. You're home for the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl 59 is 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Beck, how'd that promo go?
Perfect.
Wow, perfect promo. See, I don't only do it when you screw up.
Well, you just did it this time because of what happened yesterday, so that's fine.
What happened yesterday? I don't even.
You said how'd that promo go because I messed up a few times.
Well, sometimes got to keep you on your toes, Beck.
Yeah.
Just have you dozing off back there.
Yeah. Well, I'm busy right now trying to
watch a soccer game.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep up with it.
Who's playing on the pitch? Who's the match on the pitch? Who's got their boots on with their kits on the pitch?
Wow, that was a word salad, Hunt. But it's Arsenal and Tottenham.
Arsenal is the Gunners.
Yes, that is correct.
Tottenham is Hotspur, which I don't know what that means.
They are the Hotspurs.
Sounds like some sort of a cafeteria dish.
No, they're it's like the chickens. How it's the
like Big Spur.
Yes,
like,
correct.
Like the Gamecocks.
Yes,
they play Sandstorm.
They call them Spurs. They don't call it. Their technical name is the Tottenham Hotspur, but they usually just go by Spurs.
Do they play Sandstorm?
I don't think so.
Do they have a big chicken in a cage and play?
No, they have a chicken on their crest, but not in a cage.
Do they wave towels?
Maybe.
Just
probably
pulmonary coach their baseball team.
I don't think they have a baseball team.
Okay, well that's stupid.
Yeah.
How would you not?
That's a good point.
Soccer, what a fun thing! And somebody scored a point. That's great.
There's been 3 goals, Hunt, and 40.
Is the defense even trying?
They are.
Well, they're poor. It's a poor defense.
Yeah.
What's the keeper doing? He's got to be benched. He can use his hands. The rest of the guys can't even use their hands.
That is correct, Hunt. That is. He can do that.
Listen.
He may be. Maybe he is.
He's not. He's got to be doing some show.
He's probably
somewhere.
doing some show.
I've been pushing his buttons on Twitter a little bit. That was watching Texas Ohio State and said Scattaboo could never bust a screen past like 70 yards, and he tweeted back in like 2 seconds. You talk bad about Scattaboo.
That's all you got to do.
You're going to catch Hester's hands in a hurry.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was trying to do. Not really catch the hands, the internet hands, the digital hands is what I was really looking at. We got to take it or leave it?
We do. Got a few.
Wow.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Just take it.
All right, first one here. Turkey sandwich without mayo. Take it or leave it.
Well, that happened to me today.
How did that happen,
So
Hunt?
we're out of mayo at the Palmer House.
Just leave it alone.
And I haven't had a turkey sandwich without mayonnaise in a long time.
I couldn't do it. You don't have mustard, ketchup. You gotta have something on there.
A ketchup?
I don't know, but you can't eat just bread and turkey. It's so dry.
cheese?
It's still so dry, Hunt.
It wasn't good. It just doesn't. It didn't work.
That's no.
I didn't have. I mean, look, I didn't have any mayo. We had turkey, we had bread, we had cheese. I just threw it there.
Go drive to the gas station real quick or somewhere and get some mayonnaise, Hunt.
It just wasn't that urgent. Myers got to the point where he freaks out if I go to the gas station. He doesn't want to get out of the car. He doesn't want me to leave him in the car. So he just goes nuts.
Catch 22 there.
Yeah, it's tough. So it was bad. I hadn't done it in a while, and it did not work out well for me. We got got to make sure that I have to have mayonnaise tomorrow. I still do have one more like sandwich worth of turkey in the fridge, and I have some cheese, and I have one more bun that we actually had from Turkey Burgers over the weekend. But we gotta have mayonnaise.
Yeah, that's a necessity for sandwich making. Next one, the 2025 Jazz Fest lineup. Take it or leave it.
And now I'm gonna take it.
I'll take
I'm
it.
gonna take it on a way that most people won't, because most people are loving. I know Dave Matthews is coming. I think Pearl Jam
That's
is
correct.
also in.
That's correct.
Is Pearl Jam Eddie Vedder?
He is the lead singer of Pearl
Okay.
Jam.
I don't really care about Pearl Jam, but he loves the Cubs.
He does.
Great. So
In
that's
fact,
good.
I think a couple of their guys, because I actually went to a Cubs game a couple of years ago, and I'm pretty sure I saw the bass player for the Cubs on the
bass player for the
train
Cubs.
because he was wearing a jersey, Cubs jersey, and it said his last name on it, and I knew the bass player for Pearl Jam's name, so I'm pretty sure he actually might be a fan too.
It's kind of a not incognito move, although
I don't think
to be
many
fair,
people are going to really know who the
certainly
bass player of Pearl Jam is, so he's
he
probably
could have
fine.
Pearl Jam bass player on the
Yeah,
back there.
and
I wouldn't know it was him. So, but I like the lineup because it's got Luke Combs,
Yes, of course.
and Casey Musgraves.
Okay.
That is good stuff.
Yep.
Pearl Jam, I don't think so. Dave Matthews, like I can feel the claustrophobia right now.
Oh, wow. No, that's not what I'm worried about. Or at least not what I'm worried
too.
about anyways.
That too. Yeah, there's some skunks.
There's going to be some, it's going to be a little stinky.
Yeah, I saw Dave. We talked about this, I think, on 2 summers ago. We were at a family vacation, and we drove over to see Dave at the Wharf in Orange Beach because my wife loves going to Dave concerts. I had plenty of fun because there was a bar there, but like I don't need to see Dave ever again. I think some of his songs are good, but I only know like 8 of them, and he plays like 30, and I don't know those songs. So I don't care about those, but hopefully I can go see Luke Combs. I just don't think it's going to happen because it's too crowded. Like, I've done Jazz Fest twice. If I never do it again, that'll be just fine. I'm now thinking about this, and I'm thinking about Cassie. I'm thinking about she's a New Orleans girl. There are some people that are super pro Jazz Fest. Some people are like, I don't really think so. And I don't know what I'm going to get from Cassie here. Are you pro Jazz Fest, or are you like, I've never even been?
I've never been a Jazz Fest.
Wow.
See, I was thinking that was
that's possible.
I was
It's
thinking
possible.
it was possible.
It
It's a
is.
New Orleans native, just like I'm not gonna do that, and that's fine because I've been twice and I didn't like it really at all. So I saw Elton John, and by the way, Elton John was phenomenal.
He was. I saw
but
him.
It was too crowded. I couldn't.
It's very
move.
crowded.
And then we couldn't get home, and I don't need that. So
Yeah, it is okay. So basically, you are getting to see these artists for usually a pretty cheaper price as opposed to going to see them in a concert on their own. The price you have to quote unquote pay is that you have to be in a crowd full of people.
Yes.
You can't really move. It's usually hot, usually muddy. Those are the things you have to account for, but you get a cheap ticket to see
And
them.
it's all about like what you're willing to endure.
Yes,
And like
yes.
I would walk on broken glass to go watch LSU in the College World Series, and I'd just make it through.
Yep.
I don't need to watch Elton John in the mud at all.
Yeah.
For the cheap. So
Yeah.
it's just kind of a whatever, to each his or her own, I guess.
I would say that as well. Last one here. Don't know if you saw this last night, but the TGL Tigers team, the Jupiter Lynx Golf Club, I think, or I don't know, there's something like that. Even though I'm pretty sure Tiger is the only one on the team that's a member at Jupiter or whatever.
Lives in Jupiter.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, they got blown out.
12
Tiger,
to 1
yeah, it was like
or
12-1. Tiger and his cast of misfits, Kevin Kisner among them, looked absolutely atrocious.
Someone in our group text said, I think Kisner is trying to play bad.
Yeah, I think he was too. He sculled a bunker shot out of, and he actually, luckily for him, it hit the flag
the
post. But the
Did
Jupiter.
you call it a flag post?
I don't know why I call it that. The
I don't
flag.
either.
It hit the flag. I don't know why I said that.
Certainly not a
Anyways,
post.
Jupiter Golf Links taking you on the chin. Take it or leave it.
Guess I'll take it. Like
I'll take it.
I didn't watch any of it. Again, it's not really for me. I'm seeing some positive, some negative on Twitter. Apparently, the moment of the match in an 11-1 blowout of match play was Tiger Woods walking to the first tee.
Yes. Yes. They played Eye of the Tiger.
That's not a great. Not a great.
His mom was in
look.
attendance.
I heard that.
Yeah.
I saw. He had on the red.
He did,
Sunday
of course,
red.
of course.
But
Sunday red, hunt. Make sure you enunciate. It's
Sorry.
2 separate
Sunday
words. It's
red.
not Sunday the day. It's 2 separate words.
So it's just not for me. Like I'm much more excited to watch the American Express tomorrow intermittently throughout the day than I am to watch the TGL and a golf simulator. Apparently, the simulators might not have even been working. So it's
I
just
didn't
not,
see that.
apparently, they were not calibrated right. Like hitting shots, and they were like, those guys kind of know how far they hit it.
They know.
If they hit one and it's 20 yards off. Like with no wind in there, they're going to probably realize it. So that's it for a Wednesday edition. Tons of LSU basketball talk. JD Piquel talking college football is a What If Wednesday. Saints mock draft, LSU quarterback opposition. Catch it all wherever you find your sound. Search Hunt Palmer Show. Like, subscribe, rate, and review. Matt's going to drive you home next one after further review. We'll be back tomorrow, same time and same place. Have a good Wednesday. Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.